the names you call him. Is that the way you would
That's what
talk?
I feel. Somebody comes up to me. They come into this country. You know, all cultures aren't equal. That guy's escaping a war-torn culture where there's civil war popping up constantly in that country, where there's misery and destitution. And he comes into this country by choice. Nobody told him to come here. I thank God every day I'm in this country, by accident of birth. But to be a guest in this country, to come into this country, having left what he left, a war-torn society, to voluntarily come into this country. And then I knew what he was getting at, to call George Bush a terrorist and John McCain a terrorist. Yeah, I boil over and I pop off because I can't stand it. You see, most of the people who are born in this country, they don't leave it. It's people who are born in these other cultures. Some of them are corrupt, some of them are violent, some of them are sexist, whatever, who come here. I don't think they have to agree with George Bush or John McCain, and many of them do not. But don't call my president, don't call McCain, really don't call any of our leaders terrorists. As much as I criticize Barack Obama and his terrorist friend, Ayers, I've never called him a terrorist. And this is what's interesting to me. A couple of hecklers at the McCain rally, you know, they said, oh, he's called him an Arab. I get nuts like this all the time calling my show from the Obama side and from the left. And, of course, the liberal big media could care less. These are the Obama supporters. That is an Obama supporter, because I know that because he was screened, and that was on my calling President Bush and John McCain terrorists. No, I don't have a stomach for that. And you know what? The vast majority of Americans, regardless of a political background, but maybe not regardless of political background, don't want to hear that either.
So give us the atmosphere. This is 6 to 8 o'clock at night. You can be heard drive time in Washington, drive time in New York City. What are your other big markets where you get a lot of feedback?
Los Angeles, San Francisco, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago, Philadelphia.
Chicago's 5 to 7?
No, Chicago's 10 at night.
Delayed.
Where we're number one.
In Los Angeles, is it live?
It's delayed, but it's going to move.
To...
I'm not allowed to talk about all this yet.
Well, give us the atmosphere, though. I mean, I listen to you erupt all the time. How big a room are you sitting in?
I'm sitting in a room that's about, it's not padded, by the way. I'm sitting in a room that's about, although it does have extra sound insulation, that's about 20 by 15.
So it's a pretty good sized room.
Pretty good sized room.
And there's nobody in there?
Nobody in there but me, maybe my dogs. It's one of the kids want to come in and watch. I have a computer. I have a computer screen. I have a television, you know, that's muted so I can keep track of what's going on. I have a box that's called a Zephyr with all kinds of electronics in it that allows me to do the show. Well, I guess I said the dogs come in, so I guess you can figure out I'm doing it from my house. So, the allows me to do the show where I do it from, through New York to the rest of the world, and I have headphones and a microphone. It's that simple. And so I'm sitting in the chair, I'm listening, just like this. If it's an intelligent caller, great, I respond, you know, as you would to an intelligent caller. And if it's a nut job like that guy from Sierra Leone, I put him and us out of our misery.
So you're sitting at a desk or are sitting at an easy chair?
At a desk.
And you talk about, if you can, your family. How long have you been married?
23 years.
Where'd you meet your wife?
At a Filipino magazine. I ordered out of one of those Russian magazines. No, I'm kidding. Where did I meet my wife? I met her at a party on Capitol Hill 25 years ago.
Do you two agree politically?
Pretty close, but she has a different personality than I do.
Explain
She's
that.
a Southern girl from Huntsville, Alabama. And she's just as sweet as can be. It's a very soft voice and puts up with me. I'm as sweet as can be, too. You just have to get to know me.
And how many children do you have?
2. I have a daughter, Lauren, who's 20 and goes to George Mason University, and my son, Chase, who's 17.
And what about their politics?
My daughter is a solid Reaganite. My son is a gamer with World of Warcraft by the Blizzard company, which is what he's really into. he's a conservative by instinct, I think.
What town in the United States did you grow up in?
I grew up in a township outside of Philadelphia called Cheltenham, in a little community called Elkins Park.
Your parents, what did they do?
My parents, who are retired now and are in Florida because that's what Jewish parents do. First of all, let me say this. I have had the most supportive, wonderful parents any son could ever have. And, my parents, they were conservative intuitively. Jewish parents in suburban Philadelphia, the stereotype is liberal Democrat. Well, they weren't. And they owned, first they started a nursery school and camp years and years and years ago, which they ran for almost 20 years, and then a little shop in a town called Jenkintown outside of Philadelphia, which my brother runs, called the Ming Tree on Old York Road, and, lamps and different furniture and so forth. So they've been small business people their entire lives.
And you went to Temple for both your law degree and your undergrad?
I went to Temple University undergrad and Temple University School of Law, where there are about 3 conservatives in the whole law school.
Yesterday, and we're recording this on Wednesday before the final debate, yesterday you talked about something that I want the audience to hear and then get you to spend some more time talking about it. Let's run this.
Jesse Jackson, the Jew hater. By the way, may I be so bold as to say to my liberal Jewish brothers and sisters, many of whom are Democrats, if not most, what the hell's wrong with you people? Haven't you figured out where all the anti-Semites are? With Jimmy Carter and Jesse Jackson and all the radical Palestinian types, they're not Republicans, Jackson hates America. He hates Israel. He despises the Jews. That's correct. I have the guts to say it. You're damn right. A few too many slip-ups with the tongue there, Jerkson. Now, some of you might say, well, Mark, that's not Barack Obama's campaign. Isn't it amazing, all these supporters and friends? And
that's just a little bit of this interchange. You seem to get a lot out there. Feel strongly about this?
Well, I do. You see, I think what some people might find intriguing is that I don't do this fan dance. I don't do the social circuits. I don't really care what Jesse Jackson thinks of me or his supporters think of me. Jesse Jackson's an anti-Semite. Every now and then it pops up, whether it's Town or other things that he's done. And I think he's outlived his usefulness as a civil rights leader. He's an irrelevancy. But every now and then he makes these comments that show the real Jesse Jackson. And I find this permeating somewhat in the Democrat Party today, and I feel the Democrat Party needs to do something about this. Barack Obama's close friends include a couple of people who are extremists, who had ties with the PLO of old, ties with Hamas. And of course that's going to raise my attention, and I'm going to pay attention to what's going on. And now he's pro-Israel. Look, you don't have to be pro-Israel, against Israel. The fact of the matter is, what I was trying to focus on there is that there is this element within the Democrat Party. You see it at the universities. You see them protesting in the street, this radical left ideology. And many of the people do hate this country and therefore project that hatred onto Israel too. And so I'm just trying to warn people that this does exist. And if you don't think it exists, then you're closing your eyes to it, because I see it.
Why